high-speed business at a record pace.
Get 70 miles per gallon on this fucker. This is shit that made a castle.
Welcome to the Fast Ones. This is Max. Welcome to the Fast Ones. Sorry we're a little bit late, but you got us now, so be thankful. And coming into the podcast real hot and quick is my buddy Mike. There we are. What's up,
yo?
What's up?
Welcome to the Fast Ones.
Yeah, we're a little bit late. It's Memorial Day.
We're a little delayed ones.
S'mores are being cooked.
Don't put this on me. Max is trying to get out of it. It wasn't on me.
That was pretty late. And then, yeah, but we're here.
We are.
And thankful that you guys have shown up. Everyone, please sign the roll that's in the chat. Mark your attendance.
Roll call. Check your box.
We are the only podcast that will take attendance of all of its fans.
Yep.
Yeah, good luck, Joe Rogan, trying to do that.
Yeah. Freaking.
What would you rather have, an attendance record of your fans or millions of people following you?
Attendance record.
We'd rather have attendance taken.
Definitely. We want to be able to track who is a genuine Haas boy.
And all your data. That's how we make money.
Which is what we purge.
The more social security numbers we get, the better content we deliver to you. So please, please. Post your social security number and date of birth in the chat.
Okay, this is going to get flagged. Don't do that, Max.
Don't do that. But yeah,
Yes.
Memorial Day weekend. Big weekend for motorsport.
Huge weekend for motorsport.
Huge, yeah. And we just came off the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yes.
Some people might have watched the Indy 500.
Yes, not Max.
I watched the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile,
Which was
race.
dope.
Yeah.
They had a slipstream. They pulled off the last second pass.
Yeah. A slipstream at 25 miles an hour.
Yes.
It was the slowest, but craziest.
We want to talk about dirty air.
Yeah.
Try following a weenie mobile around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
All those Wienermobiles were also cooking up hot dogs the whole time. The huge drain on power.
Yeah. That hybrid unit.
Yeah.
Mercedes doesn't know about that kind of sausage power.
For sure. Did the Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles cook hot dogs, or is it just like a
I think
marketing
it's just a
bit?
marketing piece. I don't think I've seen it in the wild once.
It was here.
Yeah.
One time years ago, I worked for the city mowing lawns, and we came out of like our lunch break at the grocery store, and there was one in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I don't remember getting any hot dogs. We just took a picture with it.
Yeah, it's just
They might have
to
like
take a
little
picture.
handouts or
Right.
stickers.
Right.
Now I'm kind of let down.
Yeah,
Food truck. It's
I-
like the best food truck in the world.
It's the best food truck that doesn't serve any food.
I bet if you were to ask most people who haven't seen the Wienermobile, they would think it's a food truck.
Probably. They probably
Yeah.
thought that there was some kind of promotional something to get out of it.
Well, welcome to the Fast Ones, where we rate food trucks.
Yes. Wienermobile low on that list.
What's the other race that happened this weekend? The Coke 600
Yeah,
or something?
Coca-Cola 600, which
Okay.
was on Amazon Prime.
Oh,
So the
okay.
first time NASCAR, or first time that Amazon has really hosted any motorsport, but they streamed it
Okay.
as opposed to being available on your normal broadcasting platforms,
Okay. Nice.
which was super interesting.
Uh-huh.
It was pretty great. Super high quality 4K. Like it was
Oh.
kind of blowing my mind.
Are they
how
going to be
crispy
doing
it was.
all of the NASCAR races? 'Cause
They will
I'll
be
tune in.
covering something like 4 or something.
Because I don't know if F1 has anything against NASCAR, but they're not putting the races on the F1 app.
Yeah. That's super. That seems really at you personally, like an attack.
You get all the NASCAR races?
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah,
And all the IndyCar
it's
races?
included in my subscription.
Will there ever be a partnership between F1 and NASCAR? Will anyone ever reach across the aisle and shake hands with the other
NASCAR's
side?
trying. In fact,
Yeah.
actually, that is a topic that we will get around to,
Okay.
and just put Kyle Larson on that list, and we will address
Okay, cool.
some of that.
Well, today we will be talking about the Monaco Grand Prix.
We will be.
Everything from qualifying up to the little trot around the track that they did.
Yes.
And then we have some listener questions. I think we have 3.
Okay, yeah.
So they have stepped up, which is great.
Which is great. Thank
and
you
if
for
you
writing
have
in.
any listener questions, send them in on Instagram or post them in the chat right now.
Yes.
Or whatever you want to do to get them to us.
Yes.
And
to
then coming up this week is the Spanish Grand Prix.
Correct. Finally.
This is where no more flexi wings are going to happen.
Yes.
So Monaco is the last of the flexi wing for McLaren.
Correct. I think so.
Okay.
It's either this race or the one after, but
Okay.
I think it's this race.
Okay, interesting. So we have a lot to talk about.
We do.
Yeah. Where do we want to start? Listener questions or Monaco Grand Prix?
I feel like we got to get into Monaco.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. Monaco Grand Prix 2025.
What did you think?
Um,
Do you want to start with qualifying, or you said you wanted to work through the schedule that way, but do you have thoughts on how that went down?
No, qualifying. I was sad that Mercedes kind of beefed it. Kimi Antonelli. I was just sad that Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah, I
beefed
was
it.
gonna say, I'm like, this seems
George
like it's a
Russell, like,
one-sided thing.
didn't his car break down in the tunnel
Yeah,
and they had to push it out?
yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sad about George, but Kimi Antonelli, I was sad because I was having high hopes that he would be on the podium.
Yeah, this is unfortunately 2 weeks back to back that he's had disappointing results.
Yeah,
Last week hurt more, I think, with
Yeah.
it being his first home race at Imola.
that's right. Yeah.
To have trouble there. But yeah, anyways, yeah, it was a bummer to see them get knocked out.
But other than that, qualifying got really exciting.
Yeah.
The Monaco qualifying is the most exciting qualifying event on the calendar
Right.
because that's where it matters for Monaco, even with their 2 pit stop strategy. I feel
Yeah.
like, and it was crazy up until the end. Yeah, Isaac Hadjar qualified in the top 10.
Yeah.
And then going into like the final where everyone's coming across the line, it's crazy how many people are within a second.
Yeah, they're so close to each other.
It's so wild.
right.
But then Lando Norris squeaked out that pole 1 position, which
Yeah.
was nuts.
And
Yeah.
it was tidy and it was close. And I mean, the fact that Leclerc was second,
He almost had it again.
yeah, which is amazing to me. I was like, that's a pretty impressive lap given just how good the McLaren is.
Yeah.
To see Charles get that close was really impressive.
I don't feel like the cars are able to get up to full speed at Monaco.
No.
So does having a car that accelerates the fastest?
It's going to be the low speed stuff where you make up all the ground in Monaco.
Okay.
So like the third final sector is usually where Max is the one that is somehow extracting more out of the lap than anybody
Okay.
because he's so good with his hypersensitivity to be able to kind of fling it around and get through the corner. So to your point,
Yeah.
it's definitely not like around, Casino Square or any of those areas that are going to make up all the time. It's going to be more in your low speed stuff.
Which makes sense why the Racing Bulls qualified so high.
Yeah.
I feel like Hulkenberg might have had a good qualifying.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was crushing.
So great.
Yeah.
Yeah, just proof that, the car doesn't need to be the top, fastest, crazy car. I guess just like low speed stuff, handling and things.
Yep. And definitely there's some performance depending on teams that have emphasized
Oh, obviously.
mechanical
Yeah.
grip and low speed stuff. But the drivers can overcome some of that if they're any good, if they're really sensitive and really good at handling that stuff.
Yeah.
If they're any good is what I was going to say. Strike that from the record, not the right words.
I was hoping that Oscar Piastri would have got pole position, but Lando got it. And then moving into the race, he just it was like the top 3 or 4 were all the same as qualifying.
Yeah.
Maybe down to the top 10. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
It was just like a classic Monaco.
Yeah.
Some teams, I don't know how we want to start the race unless we're done with qualifying.
Yeah, well, let's just move on. I mean,
Yeah.
I was surprised that it worked out that way, but I mean, I think Lando has definitely been a quality qualifier where we're talking that like the driver's comfort in the car can sometimes overcome some of the car's discrepancies and stuff. I think that like this suited Lando. I felt like Oscar had some struggles with handling. I don't know how many times I saw him tap the wall in qualifying and the race. It's just a little bit sideways. The back tire is just skimming the wall and him being like, man, that was close. So Lando being able to put the lap together, I guess I'm not fully surprised. He really is good on a single lap. And then as long as, he did lock up on the first lap, and I thought it was over. I was like, he's toast.
See, I saw that lockup like first lap. It's almost like the first corner. They go up
Yeah.
and they go up the hill.
Yeah.
or no, it was right at the start.
Yeah.
It's like the first corner.
Yeah.
He locks up. But I felt like he kind of had to dive bomb into that corner because Charles Leclerc almost had the corner.
Right.
And so if you're going to go into, if you need to protect that spot, because if you don't get first, you're going to be in second the whole race.
Right.
And so I thought it was kind of necessary.
Yeah, especially given that this race, we were hoping for some of the double pit stop thing to make a difference. It didn't.
It didn't. But that lockup, I feel like even if you did lock up, it doesn't matter. Like you even if you have a huge bald spot on your tires, it doesn't matter.
Well, here's the problem: is that it can, and
right? No one can pass at Monaco.
Well, but the problem is that so like we'll say I want to say is Singapore like 2017, 2016, somewhere in there. Sebastian Vettel flat spotted his tires so bad that while he was coming around to the pits to change the tires, on one lap, the vibration was so bad, the front wing fell off and went under the car, and it destroyed the car.
Oh, gosh.
And end of race.
Wow. Okay.
Over just flat spots.
Yeah.
But the other problem is that when you have a flat spot on slicks, on race tires, the likelihood of you coming around to that spot again as the tire's rolling and you're braking, that it's going to stop on that spot and flat spot even more is super likely, depending on how bad the flat spot is.
Yeah.
You can catch it again and continue to flat spot the tire.
Okay.
So if you get lucky and you don't fully trash it, then you can continue to race. And it seems like Lando got pretty lucky, in my opinion.
It was a huge smoke cloud that came out of that car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was in big trouble. I really did. I was like, oh no, that could be the end of his race.
Yeah.
But he managed to pull it off.
I'm having a hard time believing it because Daniel Ricciardo famously won Monaco.
Right.
With like half an engine or whatever.
Right.
And was fine. He just had to like play a little defense and no one gets by.
Yeah, Sebastian Vettel was on his gearbox for how many laps?
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything about it.
Couldn't do anything. And there was a point at the end of the race where Charles Leclerc on the radio was behind Lando Norris, like constantly chasing him down, constantly right at his end, like his butt.
Right.
And he yelled over the radio. He's like, Lando was so slow. And I was watching it with Kevin, our producer.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, then pass him.
Right. Yeah.
What is the team engineer going to do?
Right.
It's not, he's not on your team. There's no team orders.
Right.
You need to get past him.
Right.
But you just can't at Monaco.
So that's what brings up.
Except the first lap, Gabriel Bortoleto almost passed Kimi Antonelli, and that was cool.
Yeah.
All around that whole big wide hairpin.
Right.
And then it was great to see Kimi Antonelli kind of like box him out and throw him right into the wall.
Yeah, he was like, how about no?
Yeah.
Not now.
It was so cool. I loved the move by Bortoleto, and I was like, oh, that was awesome. And then I loved the move by Antonelli to throw him right into the wall.
You can tell that those two know each other so well, because Kimi probably would have not, there's no way he would have done that to somebody else on the track, but because he knows Bortoleto so well from racing him, it's just like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, no, that move's not going to land.
But what were you going to say?
No, I mean, I think what it brings me to is saying that, look, I think in an overview of, we'll get to overviewing the full race weekend, but to just talk about Monaco, I feel like everyone came away from this Monaco Grand Prix going, this was the worst one we've had ever, probably, in the sense of like...
I would disagree.
I think that the racing was interesting up front.
Yeah.
Because Max having the lead and not having done his pit stops and waiting for a safety car.
Yeah.
Definitely had me more on my edge of my seat to be like, if Max pulls this off, it's going to be the most Max Verstappen win, which was that it's like, no, I let everyone do pit stops before me. I waited for it to come to me, and I managed to win, which is something that I swear Red Bull and Max have pulled off. I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
But because it didn't happen, I think that the reason that people are squawking and feeling the way that they do is this unfortunate gaming of the system. The whole two pit stop strategy thing was meant to make it so there was more opportunity for mess ups and for overtaking in the pit stops and shuffle of the order.
Yeah.
But with Williams gaming the system, with Racing Bulls gaming the system, and making it so people had full pit stop gaps because they can just block them and run slow.
Yeah.
Really made it so the mid-pack race was just trash.
Yeah.
It was stupid. Everyone is just pissed. George Russell cuts the chicane on purpose because he's like, screw it, a penalty is better than being stuck.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I really don't blame his thought process there. Probably the only time I've ever agreed with George Russell on something. I was like, yeah, that was a good move.
Yeah.
And then they gave him a drive-through penalty, which I thought was aggressive.
Yeah.
But anyways, tell me what did you feel about it?
About what? In
About the
particular?
Monaco Grand Prix.
Oh,
I mean,
like I said, I didn't think it was the most boring Monaco Grand Prix. The
one that Charles won was probably worse.
the fact that like there was this new kind of rule implemented for this race only made it exciting to watch and see which teams are going to do what are the strategies they're going to implement, who's going to pit when. And then when Max was waiting to the very end, it was exciting
Right.
to see if he would be able to pull it off. Whereas previous years, Monaco's had been very boring. You knew the order of the winning people or whatever from the start.
Right.
There at least there was like a hope that something would happen.
Right.
And Pierre Gasly almost did make that happen. He came out of the tunnel, hit the back of Yuki Tsunoda, and destroyed his tire. And
Continue.
what?
I don't know why this makes me so mad.
What?
But man, I was fuming. I was fuming mad.
About what?
They didn't have anything. No safety car, nothing.
That's what made me mad too.
Like,
and I was mad at Pierre.
Yeah.
Because he limps it back to the garage. And I was like, for the sake of the fans,
Yeah.
put it into the wall and cause a red
And
flag.
freaking park.
Yeah.
Yeah, park.
Why are you limping this back?
Exactly. But
You're not going to fix this.
no, and in fact, you're going to put shards of crap everywhere. If anything, I was happy that he was doing that, being like, someone else blow a tire. Lance Stroll, take it out. It's your time.
Yeah, I was yelling that, and Kevin's like, "Nah, it's probably good to get like out of the way." And I'm like, "Stop
I'm
being
so
on the
glad.
side of the stewards." And then
Kevin, get out of here. I'm so glad he's not here. I'd be so mad at him right now.
And then I think it was Crofty or Martin Brundle or something was saying, I don't really like that he's doing that. He's putting debris all over the track.
Right,
and I was
right.
like, see, I'm right.
Yeah.
But I was mad. I there was a part where he's like limping it back to the pit stop, to the pits. He's going in for his permanent pit stop. Which
Right,
is
yeah, to
great.
retire.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
a good term.
Yeah.
He's going in and over the radio, he's like, I have no brakes. And I was like, yeah, you have no front wheels either.
Yeah. You're surprised?
It's definitely. I love that radio message so much. I wish he would have been like, "There's something wrong with. I can't see. There's something wrong with my tire. Can you do a check?
Could you guys take a look at the front left?
If I was
Front
a
right.
driver and had any sort of sense of humor in that moment, I would be doing that all the time.
Yeah, totally.
Just lose a front wing entirely, being like, "Oh, there's no downforce in the front."
Yeah. That would be a very
we get a
Sebastian
check?
Vettel moment for
Yeah.
sure. That's something Seb would have done. Be like, could you guys check the front left wheel? Seems to be vibrating. So good. So good.
But yeah, I was really hoping he would just like, park it off to the side in a weird place. You know, every place in Monaco is going to make that a red flag almost.
Every race.
And then start it over. Give us another start at
I
Monaco.
feel like in the last couple of weeks, and like we talked about it in Imola,
yeah,
I was pissed that
the
they
virtual safety car.
car versus safety car, and they did do like a brief VSC thing, whatever. Look, the VSC, I just want it gone. I just want it gone. I hate it. It doesn't do anything to help the race.
Mm-hmm.
It just helps the guy who's in first not lose his lead.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, okay. Who invented this rule? Lewis Hamilton?
yeah, yeah.
Screw the virtual safety car. It
Yeah.
sucks. But where this wreck in particular, I was like, that was a really gnarly wreck.
Yeah, it was
And he
bad.
drove it all the way back to the pits
Yeah,
with freaking 3 wheels. I'm like, black flag him
yeah,
and penalize him for driving it on the track like that. That track is so dangerous at speed too.
yeah,
If someone had come around a corner at 200 in the pool section,
yeah,
or 150,
yeah.
and Pierre was just hobbling along with one tethered
Yeah.
wheel flipping around, that could have been deadly.
Yeah, it
It's
could have been bad.
really gnarly. So, anyways, I forgot about that until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
It really blows my mind that didn't cause a bigger shakeup. It was really the opportunity for it.
It was. That was the one opportunity we had to a proper shakeup and have more excitement in the race. And it didn't happen. And it was like, I felt robbed.
Yeah.
Because Gabriel Bartoletto almost did it, but that was the first lap. And then he
Right.
was able to reverse and go on with the race.
Right.
Yeah.
Which again, I was
mad.
kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I think did they do a brief VSC or
For a split second, they did, and they
Yeah.
did for Pierre Gasly. Like they had a safety. They just
I
had
think
a
it's
yellow
just double
flag
yellow
Yeah.
in that section.
in that section.
That's it.
And it had been so long since I feel like there had been like a yellow flag in a section. I had to ask Kevin, what the heck is a yellow flag?
They just have to reduce.
You just
their
have to
speed.
reduce the speed in that section. And,
Yeah.
they clean it up. And I was like, come on, it's Monaco. Just don't do this.
It's so. I felt like, anyways, that
Yeah.
was a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
I felt like it was our chance.
Yes.
It's our chance.
This is our chance.
Yeah.
A nice restart would have been so good.
And I feel like it's been a couple years, and maybe I need to do research on this, but I feel like it's been a couple years since they've done a grid restart. And I don't know the rules around that. I feel like maybe it's just for the beginning of the race. If it's like within the first 5-10 laps. But I love when they do a starting grid lineup and go again. I'm like,
yeah.
that is just the best.
It's so fun.
That's so great. I'm like, yeah, lights off again.
Uh-huh.
See if you have a better start this time.
Yeah. Can Lando
I
still get that
freaking
corner?
love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish that every safety car restart had to be done on the grid. I would, if the rules were up to me, I'd
So
be
everything
done
would
with the
just be
VSC.
red flags?
Yeah, and it'd be so freaking great.
It would be good. Restarts were the best. What year was it where I feel like every race had a red flag? Was it 2021 or 2020?
I felt somewhere. Well,
Maybe the first year of COVID, some of those races were bonkers.
and because some of those tracks were like
They'd
Mugello.
never raced on 'em, yeah.
like it's like that's a MotoGP circuit. That's not an F1 track.
Yeah.
And like Pierre Gasly on the first lap, like went
what
flying
I'm
through the
thinking
gravel,
of.
and it was like, yo, I love this.
It was so great.
Let's go to random MotoGP tracks and not tell the teams.
Yes.
It's so great,
So fun.
so great.
Yeah. Kind of robbed there.
Yeah,
And then after that, I feel like the race just kind of moseyed along.
Yeah.
And we're looking for different teams to take pits at different moments. I think, what was Red Bull and some of those teams had held off on their pit stop strategy? Is it possible that like if there was to be a safety car, they could just do 2 laps in a row and pit twice? Is that what they were hoping for?
some of the teams were claiming that,
Hoping
yeah.
to just do like 1 pit, 1 lap, 1 pit, and
Yeah.
then go.
And I think that's probably, this is my assumption, it's
Yeah.
probably why they held off the safety car for Pierre.
They
It's
did.
because they were fearing that they were going to lose the 2-stop advantage with the teams and the strategy shakeup if they did that, because then if they did multiple laps, then the teams could satisfy the tire and 2 pit stop rule under that.
It's like you implemented this thing to shake up Monaco, and then something shakes up Monaco, and you don't let it shake up Monaco.
Right.
What are you doing?
Right. And
Yeah.
then on top of that, then they go, it's legal to drive at 40% your normal race pace
Yeah.
and just like make it so the other cars can't do anything with their pit strategy because you're going so slow, like
Yeah.
Williams and Racing Bulls. And it's like, look, I'm a Sainz supporter, and I like Williams and Albon. I feel like
Yeah.
that they did a good thing, but it's like, here's a team that didn't have to do it. Haas, Esteban Ocon finished in the freaking points.
He got 7th.
Didn't have a
Amazing.
teammate
Yeah.
helping him.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like he still managed to have a point scoring day.
Yeah.
So it's
Ocon did great.
to me, I'm kind of like, I get it. Like anyone could have done that.
Yeah.
But I also feel like for the stewards and for F1, there was a rule that was hanging in the wings to be able to stop this from happening, but they didn't write it well enough for the teams to just play ball. And
Yeah.
to me, that's where it's disappointing. I get why James Vowles and Williams had to do it. I get that Toto was pissed. Customer team, they've worked with Williams close for a long
Yeah.
time, and Williams is
Still,
basically like,
it's-
up yours, we're getting points.
I mean, that's how every team should be.
that's their job.
Yeah, that's their job.
That's their job. I
Yeah.
don't care if you sell us an engine. Screw you guys.
Yeah. Oh, man. What would you change?
Cut the wings off.
Monaco?
Yes.
You'd cut the wings off?
Cut the wings off. Make the cars Mercedes 190E Cosworths from 1990.
Okay.
Make them do an all-star race. We've talked about this.
You've talked about it, and I love this idea. I think this is the best idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's the only idea.
But go for it again for all of our new listeners.
For any of our new listeners who haven't heard the theory.
Yeah.
The theory is to take Monaco, make it an all-star race. All of the sports in the U.S. do this, where they've got an all-star weekend in baseball and basketball, football, whatever. They've got an opportunity to take the best of the best in the sport and do an event where it's just the best.
Yeah.
And then to take them and do a little special event with those racers or those athletes, and it's all glitz and glam and fun and has different little things, slam dunk contests, home run derbies.
Yeah.
So my theory with F1 is that the cars are too big. They want to keep Monaco on the calendar because it's been there since
The beginning.
The very
It's
beginning.
Like the oldest, whatever.
Right. So the only way to be able to keep this race on the calendar is to be able to put them in different cars.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot race the current F1 car on the streets. We're proving it every single freaking time we visit there. The race disappoints us unless it rains.
Yes. Yeah.
Rain is the only equalizer at Monaco that makes it fun. Otherwise, it is a parade.
It is
It's just an F1 car parade.
100%. Yeah.
So I don't care if it's 190E Mercedes, which I think would just be cool throwback, or if it's an Indy car or a Formula E car. If you just take the best drivers that have won races and you give opportunities for old guys to come back, bring Sebastian Vettel to compete,
yeah.
former world champs that are still, capable of racing.
Yeah. David Coulthard and
Nico Rosberg.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see some of these guys who are retired.
Nico would not.
Nico
He
be
has
like,
to leave a winner, and there's no way he's going to risk that. even
Nico
for,
be
a
like,
heritage
am
race."
I still better than Lewis Hamilton with the guns?
He would find a way to like chicken out every single time.
But he'd be like,
But he would still show up to like commentate.
right. But I think like the Porsche Cup series that they race at Monaco is stupid fun to watch.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like, just send him out in the Porsche Cup. It's like,
Yeah.
Porsche wants to be a part of F1. Okay, let them do the exhibition race where it's the All-Stars. You put them in a bunch of GT Cup cars.
Yeah, and then we see who's the best, and that's the thing.
and
I
it's-
bet they're all scared of that idea.
And each team can put their logos on the car, whatever.
Yeah,
it doesn't
brand 'em
matter.
out.
Doesn't
It's
matter
fun.
if it's a Ferrari, Porsche. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's an all-star race.
It's an all-star race. I think there was some hot laps that they were doing before the race. You know how they do those, and someone got to drive with Max Verstappen, of course, which is awesome.
Amazing.
But they were talking to him, like there's a little interview, and he was just so stoked about doing hot laps around Monaco because he got to throw around a car more.
Right.
And he's like, and normally I don't get to drive fast around these streets because, like, it's normally people drive on these streets.
Right. This is a public road.
So it's kind of like he was like happy about two things. One, like he has to drive around Monaco, but two, the car that he's driving around is like feels a little faster than a Formula One car.
Right.
Even though it might not be, but it's just different driving technique and you can huck it around the corners faster. And
Right. But if you're driving around in a GT car, it's going to have more opportunities to pass. It doesn't have the issues
Yeah.
with the dirty air and it's not so dependent on the wings.
Yeah.
It's more of a maneuver and drivability thing. And so, I mean, look, I think that the way that I see it is that Monaco has one of two options. You either race a spec car that
Yeah.
everyone drives and is a all-star fun event that you get to keep your race there, or they have to alter the racetrack.
yeah.
And
And that's where I was thinking.
yeah,
As I was watching that race, excuse me,
coming out of the tunnel sucks.
coming out of the tunnel sucks, but that's where I would change things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It needs
Coming
to
out
be
of the
changed.
no. Keep the tunnel black. Keep the tunnel dark.
No, it's not that. It's the chicane afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah, that part sucks.
Get rid of the chicane.
It sucks.
Just keep them going straight. Let
Yeah.
them build speed and go around that whole bay marina thing part.
Right.
At full speed.
It's what fixed Abu Dhabi because Abu Dhabi had too many chicanes
Oh, did they do that?
and that racetrack had no passing and everyone said it was too boring. But then they changed it and they made like that hairpin a big swoopy left. And it's just like, now we have passing in Abu Dhabi. And it's like,
Wow.
okay, eliminate these weird chicanes that have no opportunities to pass.
Yeah.
Widen the track.
Yeah.
And give people opportunities to kind of get DRS and get past people.
Uh-huh.
But right now they don't exist.
You can't really widen Monaco. That's the problem.
You can in areas, but it's going to be around the swimming pool
Yeah.
and around the bay. That's going to be the area where you can widen it. You can't widen it through like the
That's
casino.
true. What could they build out the road a little bit into the ocean?
Just shrink the grandstand. Most of the grandstands are in those areas. So it's like, I'm sorry, sell less tickets. it's gonna make a better race.
Yeah, the richest people in the world are already parking their yachts there.
They're already there in the
They've
freaking boats.
They've already funded F1 for the next 50
You're
years.
telling me that these $150,000 ticket freaking whatever experiences for the Monaco Grand Prix aren't selling you
You
some?
telling me you can't get a tag hewer guy to give me some of that sweet tag
You
money?
telling me you can't make a boat with some racetrack on it
The
and they
Louis
can go
Vuitton-
out into the harbor?
The old Louis Vuitton money can't throw some at the track?
You telling me that? Listen here. You're going to put a racetrack in the sky in Saudi Arabia that's 20 meters or whatever up in the sky. You telling me you can't put a racetrack on a boat? Freaking go screw yourself, Formula One. We know you can do better.
Yes.
That's my thoughts.
Those are good thoughts. I like those.
Yeah.
I don't think they have any Italians. Oh, they do. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I'm like, no. There's some Italians running that sport.
There's a few Italians.
I
Sorry,
can name
that's
one or
very
two
funny.
Italians that run that sport.
Yeah, none of them are named Flavio.
Dang, man.
That's so funny.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, no. That would be cool. They could make that whole marina swimming pool area pretty rad.
There's some innovation that I feel like
That freaking
exists.
chicane, man.
Yeah.
They hit the brakes so hard, and then it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Let them come barreling out of that tunnel and keep the speed
See
up.
how F1 cars do on a barge. See how they do.
Yeah, man.
I just think that there's opportunities that they're just not seeing, and it seems so foolish to me to be like, come on.
Yeah,
It only makes sense to just try something.
yeah. Otherwise, I think some of the drivers felt kind of manipulated.
Yeah.
They're like,
Rightfully so.
rightfully so. It's like they're trying to implement these rules, and the drivers are feeling like, why are you trying to slow us down or make this weird? Like, just give us a good track, and you'll get good racing.
Right.
It's like, well, yeah, let's just give them a good track then.
Right. And it's like that's what's missing. And again, it's like you're gonna dump all this money into improving circuits in other parts of the world. And I'm like, and not try to keep the race that's been on the calendar forever.
That keeps being at risk of being axed because
Right.
of its
because of its lack of progress.
unwatchability.
Right. Yeah. So it seems to me like all they got to do is just really put their heads down and say, hey, how do we make this better?
Yeah.
And they'll come up with something.
They'll come up with something. Ollie Behrman had a bad pit stop.
Right.
That sucked to watch. Yeah, I think they went for like a first lap strategy. Some people hit the pits right off the bat,
Right.
just to get it out of the way. And like they couldn't get a wheel on, or they brought out the wrong wheel for the fronts.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, this was
Like
this,
for like this wrong sides.
yeah,
or
they had to
something.
like switch them around.
Yeah,
Like, come on,
yeah.
this was you knew this was happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
This
why are
was-
you surprised?
This was on the schedule.
Right,
One
right.
lap, he's coming in.
right.
Yeah, it's just sad to see. I mean, every team will have a bad pit stop in the year, but you
Yeah.
hate to see it. At least it's Monaco. I feel like no one really cares about Monaco.
Nah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you're not winning, who cares?
Well, we will have to win,
Yeah.
and they're gonna win.
Yeah, that was part of what I wrote in the description for the episode. It's like if Haas isn't winning the WDC, who cares?
Who cares?
WCC.
Exactly.
Um.
Do you know what was really cool about this race, though?
Yeah.
What?
Oh no, I don't. Sorry.
The
Wrong
drone.
response.
What do you think about the drone shots?
Oh yeah, they were pretty cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
There was one, I don't know exactly where it is, right over the casino that they would cut to every once in a while.
Yeah.
And that drone was solid.
Yeah, so cool.
So
to see, like-
stationary.
yeah.
It almost looked fake.
Yeah.
They're completely right above the track, and just to see these tiny little cars.
Yeah. Like.
And they're all at different points. I was like, how is this possible?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, that was
And
a
it shows
cool
off
shot.
just how like cool the rooftops are in Monaco as well.
Oh.
Like really showing the elegance of the city.
For sure.
But that's like part of it is it's like this race is so incredible.
Yeah.
Make it better.
Make it better.
How
Yeah.
can we not make it better? There's ways to do it. And like I said, if you're gonna freaking make gas renewable and you're gonna build 40-story high banked turns
Yeah.
and on other tracks, you telling me you can't fix Monaco? You're lying.
Yeah.
You're lying. There's ways to do it.
That city is built on motorsport.
Right.
You owe your life in that city to that sport, so make it better.
Right.
It's not the same as like F1 going to Vegas and kind of like getting in the way of Las Vegas.
Right. That's different.
that's
Vegas
different.
people are like, what is this?
Yeah, we don't need anything else here.
Yeah.
Stop it.
The Bellagio's a disaster as it is.
Yeah.
We don't need any more traffic.
For sure. But no, Monaco's the opposite. It's like it's built on motorsport. So do your best to keep the motorsport there
Totally.
and happy and exciting.
Totally.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the result.
The result. What did you think of Lando Norris's celebration?
I mean, I watched about a fraction of it.
It's like I am now starting to, for myself, Watch when drivers initially get right out of the car.
Right.
What do they do?
Yeah. What's your go-to move?
It's almost like your touchdown dance,
Right.
like your end zone dance. And most of them are awful at it.
Right, for sure.
And Lando won Monaco, and he's been struggling lately.
Right.
And he's
His
needed a
teammates
win.
been trashing him.
Yeah, just owning him on every race. So
Right.
for him to get this win is huge. And it's at Monaco, this
Yeah.
like heritage race that every driver wants to win.
Right.
Like if you're not going to win a championship race, if you're not going to win a championship and you want to at least win one race, you want to win Monaco.
Crown jewel.
Yeah.
Right. You want to win Monaco.
And so he gets out of the car and is just like,
Yeah. You're like,
is that it? I know
That's-
you're happy.
that's
and then
all
he,
you got?
He kind of like climbs down and like hugs people. And I was like, do something.
yeah, like,
Jump off the car.
yeah, have some excitement. This
Yeah.
is a huge moment.
And I'm sure he was.
Yeah.
But it's also they just didn't. And I was like,
yeah.
come on.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of these personalities are wasted.
Yeah. I kind of feel that way. Like his Miami reaction is because, I mean, that was his first race win.
Yeah.
But like, that seemed more appropriate for winning Monaco than anything else. He almost seemed ungrateful.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like you get out of the car and you should be doing like the like the
Yeah.
Fernando Alonso where you
Yeah.
like can't control
Yeah.
how stoked you are. Take the helmet off and chuck it into the crowd and
And I'm in my brain, I'm picturing like Nico Rosberg. Isn't there like some of him like jumping off of cars?
oh yeah.
Like just be stoked. That
Oh
you
man, and
won
like Mark
Monaco.
Webber, like when people win Monaco, Daniel Ricciardo, it's like
Yeah.
he stood and gave
Huge.
like the big like strong
Yeah.
flex and was like,
Yeah.
I lost last year. This is the one.
Yeah.
You know, it's like those moments matter.
Yes.
It's definitely that photo lives on forever in your legacy.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Lando just getting out of the car like, yeah, we did it.
Okay.
All right, next race.
It was kind of a letdown.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, F1 posted a post about iconic Monaco celebrations.
Right.
And Daniel Ricciardo shows up there every time
Yeah.
from different angles.
The
They
belly
posted-
flop is-
the belly flop in the pool.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Right.
No one will ever get a better swimming pool like celebratory dive
No,
than him.
doesn't matter if you dove, you backflipped, whatever.
Because
Daniel's
Sergio
belly
Perez
flop is-
flipped in with the flag.
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
But his belly flop is so good. And I thought about it a lot this weekend that if I was doing that race and belly flop in, like he committed.
Right.
Like
full
face,
commitment.
Face in, belly flop it right in. Like
Yeah.
probably hurt a little bit, but
Yeah.
you just won Monaco.
Right. Who cares?
And that picture is the most
a
iconic.
He's a shoey deep.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Dang. Yeah.
Makes it a little easier.
Anyway, yeah.
But
So,
yeah, I thought that I agree with you, but I also feel like it's a funny dynamic. The other thing that I feel like we have to talk about and we can touch on briefly is that everybody keeps talking about McLaren and being like, well, like when are they going to choose which driver they're going to support? And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? They're like, when are they going to pick it? I'm like, they should have picked it.
yeah.
Oscar's won how many races to this point? I know that we're still only early days in the schedule, but I feel like this weekend was Lando's anomaly. This isn't momentum swinging in his favor.
No.
I don't see it that way.
I don't see it that way either.
So the team if anything, the question is the team going to back Oscar? And they should start to
Yes.
make sure
100%.
that he wins the championship and not Max or some, anomaly Ferrari, Kimi Räikkönen situation, Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton style.
Yeah.
It's like, is there an X factor third car? If it is, it would be because they didn't back Oscar, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like they're destined for.
They might eat themselves from the inside trying to decide who to back. And it just ends up being a war that no one wins for the team.
Right.
Yeah, they should be backing Oscar. How many races has he won? He won 3 in a row.
Right. I think he said 7.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Total.
But like you said, it definitely was an anomaly for Lando because he can qualify and he has qualified a bunch and
Right.
he doesn't usually follow through in the race.
Right.
But he won Monaco. 1, he's a good driver.
Right.
And 2, you can't pass in Monaco.
Right.
It's like he gets pole position in the Spanish Grand Prix this weekend. There's like a massive 80% chance he's not holding on to that lead based on his history.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because even though it's a narrow track and historically Catalonia is hard to pass at, it's not Monaco.
Yeah.
You can still pass if you have an advantage, right? So I agree with you. It's like, yeah, Monaco, he got pole. We expected him to win.
Yeah.
It's a little different than most circuits.
Yeah. I do like seeing little shots of Zach Brown being happy for whatever driver wins.
Right.
Because I do feel like his loyalty changes every single week.
Right.
Where he's like, Oscar, my favorite driver on the team, the Lando. And he's like, Lando, oh, it's been too long. You're my favorite.
Right.
I'm getting another tattoo for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the next week it's like, who's Lando? Oscar, you are the darling of the team this week.
Man, throw another snag on the bobby. Oscar wins another race.
Aussies for life. Am I right, Oscar?
Practically Australian now. You're like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, I think that is Zach's personality. We saw it with Daniel. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, Daniel's so great. You're fired.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
the heck?
Yeah, so he's a little volatile.
Yeah, for sure. Where other team principals, they're very clear about who they love. Like Toto just loves Kimmy.
He just how well we know what the competition is. So there's I mean it's not as fair of a battle.
Here's a question. I saw a clip from the race. I don't know if it's real, so this is unfair to throw it on you in this moment. But speaking of team principals favoring drivers or whatever, I don't know if this plays into it, but Lewis Hamilton, he like radioed in. He's like, did I make you mad or something? Or
at Ferrari?
Yeah.
I saw this too. I'm not sure if it was real, but
I don't know if it's real.
Right.
And then there's no response.
Right.
And I'm like, is this AI generated?
I have no idea.
It could very easily be AI generated because radio messages are already lo-fi quality.
Right.
So to whip something up. But it would be interesting if it was real.
Well, I mean, here's the other thing is that it's like, it's I can see it being like Lewis is talking out of both sides of his mouth because like I've admittedly watched Lewis's onboard more than most people on the F1 app.
Okay.
I go through and like I watched Oscars a lot this weekend and Charles.
Okay.
But I've watched Lewis's onboard and the amount of times that he's like, in the braking zone, why are you talking to me? Shut up. Like he will full blown scream at his engineer being like, dude, literally, if I'm racing in the braking zone, the worst possible time to communicate to me, shut
You're
your
trying
mouth.
to hit a little mark.
Yeah, like
The focus and attention is through the roof.
so high. Like, please shut your
It's just like, hey, Lewis.
Yeah.
Do you want to go
like,
to plan
okay.
C?
K2? K2?
This little chirp in your ear while you're trying not to die.
Okay, charge on. Charge on. And Lewis is like, well, I'm trying to hit that 50-meter board. Shut the freak up.
Wait for the straight.
Yeah, exactly. I'm racing. Stop it. There was one time I think it was at Albert Park. So it was the first race of the year. He's like overtaking someone or like, who was it that overtook him on the outside? It might have been like
Might have been Oscar.
or Oscar. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Oscar that was
With a
passing him.
crazy
And he's
move.
like charge on. He's like, shut up. Shut your mouth. It's inches from death,
Yeah.
you know? And he's got freaking little Italian guy being like, we are checking.
So maybe he did offend his
Yeah, he might have pissed
engineer.
him off. Yeah.
And that poor little Italian guy just like, I can't. I also wonder what the dynamic is at Ferrari with Lewis. So much. I want to be a fly on the wall for a lot of those meetings, or at least know if like the team that he's now on is adjusting well to his style. Or if they're going to like brush him off, kind of how they might
In
have
my
done
opinion,
drivers in
it
the
is the
past
fate of Ferrari
to
to listen to Lewis. In my opinion, I believe that Lewis is the catalyst for change that Ferrari requires to win. They have been so stuck in being, we're the best team ever, and we've won so many things and whatever, we do everything right. To have someone like Lewis come in and be like, no, I don't care what your heritage is. This is the way that teams now are doing things, and you need to shift culture in order to make it happen.
The last time I feel that someone did that for Ferrari was Michael Schumacher.
Right.
And that was the last time they started winning.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Lewis going like, you are the man to make this happen.
Yeah.
And they better listen. And so I'm hoping they do.
Yeah, I hope they do too. But I wonder. I wonder.
Charles doesn't have that power. I think that's part of the reason why they love him.
No. Yeah,
He's
he doesn't
getting
have
to
that
the
power
point
at all.
where it's like, no, this is not working. It hasn't worked forever.
But what does he know? That's the thing. He only knows Ferrari.
he knows Sauber,
and that's about it.
which is where Nico Hulkenberg is finishing. The bless his heart. We miss you, Nico.
Yeah.
But it's not that great.
It's not that great.
And Ferrari.
And Ferrari. But Lewis Hamilton he has the experience
8
from multiple teams.
back-to-back championships
Yeah.
for world constructor champion at Mercedes. It's like not Lewis's driver championships, but Mercedes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was on that team through all 8 of those.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, man, he's worth listening to.
Yeah.
He knows what's going on.
Him and old Fred will be able to like make it happen.
I believe so.
I feel that there's just this like massive employee base of Italians that are like mad that Fred Vasseur's here.
Right,
And now
right.
Lewis Hamilton, his old buddies here.
Yeah.
And
You're like,
I
who are these French and British guys?
I can imagine in 50 years we get like the biopic of Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari.
Right.
And this will be a huge thing that comes up. It's
Right.
just like, oh yeah, the team didn't like either of them.
Yeah, it's great that the Tifosi have adopted him.
Oh, they love him. Yeah.
And I feel like the team has, but
Yeah.
it also is change is painful. Mm-hmm. And I do think that like we are starting to see that it's like, yeah, you know, how many bad strategy calls can there be before a driver literally kicks and screams and goes, "No, you guys are stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These decisions are stupid."
Yeah.
And we heard it from Sebastian. We've heard it from Carlos Sainz. We've heard it from Charles. We've heard it from everybody who's raced for Ferrari. But Lewis is the first guy to come in here and be like, it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
It's not just bad decision making. This isn't how an F1 team operates.
Yeah.
It has to change right now or we never win another race.
Yes.
And
yeah.
it's like none of these other guys, Sebastian is probably the only other one that had that power. But as we know,
They axed
Mattia Binotto was there,
Oof,
and
yeah.
he was the king of Ferrari's perfect.
Yes.
Which is the worst thing that they could have done
Which
to
is
their
crazy
culture.
because he worked with Michael Schumacher. You'd think he'd recognize that someone coming into the
He
team.
was in the engine department. He didn't work
Yeah.
with any of the guys who made a difference.
Yeah.
You know?
Gosh.
So, but I bet Andrea Stella worked for Ferrari during the Michael Schumacher years, and here he is dominating at McLaren. So something that Andrea Stella learned
Yeah.
resonated, and Mattia didn't learn that same thing, apparently.
Dang it. Too bad
So-
for Mattia. Oh, little crybaby Mattia.
See if you can turn Audi around. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Any other thoughts about the Monaco Grand Prix? That was kind of everything I had.
That's kind of everything
Take
I
away the
got.
chicane.
Right.
The drone footage was sick.
Yeah.
Loved Kimi Antonelli throwing Bortoletto into the wall. And I wish Pierre had just parked it on the track.
Yeah, those. I think that you're right with all of those.
Yeah.
And I think that there has to be some kind of like black flag for driving way off the pace. I think that if I was going to add one last thing, it would be there should be a penalty for being like creating a pit stop gap should definitely be illegal. I'm sorry. It is so stupid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like if you have that kind of power on a racetrack like this, it should be penalizable.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's some big gaps.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
There's a moment where I'm like, is Lewis really a minute behind
and
the
you heard him
rest?
come over the radio and he's like, am I still a minute behind?
We haven't seen that big of a gap, I feel, in
A long time. Right.
Because these cars have been so efficient at keeping up with each other
Right.
that, yeah, the minute gap doesn't come up ever.
No.
That hasn't happened since Lewis was the one making the gap.
Right, exactly.
It was awful.
been
It
ages.
was awful for him to be on the other side of it.
Right.
Maybe he just didn't believe it could be possible.
Right.
He's like, I thought only I
thought I was the only chosen one for minute gaps.
I thought it was still only I that arose to the minute gap.
It was only myself, still blessed, still I rise, that could do such a thing.
They're like, no, you're a minute behind. He's like, what?
He's like, I'm not rising. I'm not rising. It's happening. So, well, all right. But here's some quick thoughts, some
Yes.
quick fire thoughts that I do want to cover from the double, from
Yeah.
IndyCar, from
Oh, yeah.
Coca-Cola 600,
And then I have another thought.
and then we're gonna get into some other things.
Yeah.
Okay, the Indy 500.
Yeah.
First time on Fox, brand new broadcast network. Yeah, network. First time this network has covered the Indy 500. TV director needs to be fired. It was horrific.
Oh, no.
The cutaways would be like, all right, and here's like, oh, and he's going for a pass. And then it would just like cut to the front straightaway and no cars.
Oh,
And
no.
we're like, where did that go?
That's so
And the
weird.
timing and scoring on the side is like gone. And we're like, wait, who's
he pass?
where? Who's where? And then it was
Oh,
like,
no.
okay, all right, well, that's rough, but that happens in F1 occasionally where like timing and scoring disappear.
Yeah.
Forgivable. But then like when it came to like the finish line and crossing, like I can't even remember what they cut to, but we didn't see the car cross the finish
No.
line. Yeah. And we're like,
Holy
what
cow,
just-
that's the moment.
what just happened?
Yeah.
And Alex Palou won. Alex Palou is having a season in IndyCar that echoes Max Verstappen RB19 season.
Okay, crushing it.
Destroying everyone.
Oh no. Okay.
And for him to win the Indianapolis 500 is the race that he said, my career will not be complete without winning one of those.
Wow.
And so he got it.
Yep.
And so, but this is a big moment. So we're like, oh, and Alex Palou's gonna get his Indy 500. He crossed the finish line. And we're like, wait, did he cross? Did he win? And we didn't see it.
It's crazy.
The other thing is that Will Buxton, and I know everyone will recognize this name.
Uh-huh.
You might have heard of him.
Yeah.
Is now the main announcer for IndyCar. He was hired for that main role.
Yeah.
The way that he delivers is rough. And Lee Diffie was legendary.
Has Will Buxton, he didn't do F1 race commentary.
He was a
He just was on-
reporter.
Yeah, so he's not like doing live, up to speed, up to date commentary.
No.
And he's notorious for just, I'm stating the obvious, man.
And his deliveries in IndyCar are so slow.
Oh no.
And he's like, Alex Palou coming down turn 4.
No.
Never won Indy 500
No.
before.
Is that bad? Oh,
It's
gosh.
that bad.
You know, it's a fast sport.
Exactly. You're like, Will, what are you doing? If this is baseball, maybe.
Or chess.
Or yeah, just anything.
Golf.
Yeah, it's just and then Scott Dixon.
I wonder if people are loving this choice.
It's really weird. It feels
'Cause
very
did they
weird.
audition this guy? Or did they just...
No, it was just like,
Oh, he's on Netflix.
all those
and
F1 fans like him.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. It's going to give us a boost.
Do we? Because we just make fun of him.
Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah, did they do the research?
Yeah, he's
because
the
I think he's
obvious
just
guy.
the butt of the joke.
Yeah, it's like, you hired the meme guy
Yeah.
to be your main
In
announcer?
order to win a race, you must finish first.
You must have tires.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. For a driver to be able to steer the car, a steering wheel must be in place.
It's required.
They're like, get this guy into
shut.
Get this guy on the Indy 500 now. This guy is spitting fire.
IndyCar's basically F1. What are we missing? Will Buxton.
The biggest name in F1 commentary. David Crofty? No, Will Buxton.
No, Will
Has he done a
Buxton.
commentary before? No, but he's gonna.
But he's going to do great.
Well, if IndyCar is looking
Yeah.
for someone else to be Will
Host.
Buxton,
Yeah.
to like maybe sub out,
Yeah.
Mike would be great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm
I think I
flattered.
would be a great assistant.
I think we would actually crush an IndyCar
Should
race.
we just like commentate one?
We'll just
It'd
do
be
it.
great because you would know the drivers,
Right.
And I would have any idea
Right.
who is who.
You know what's funny is that the other two guys in the booth are phenomenal. It's James Hinchcliffe and Townsend Bell.
Okay.
James Hinchcliffe does F1 commentary on F1 TV.
He does, yeah, he does.
And so he's a former IndyCar racer, but also a longtime F1 fan. So he always has great insights.
Yeah.
And and especially because in Indy 500 he's raced, same with Townsend Bell, several of them, and so he has experience and stories to go along with what's going on.
Yeah.
But outside of the the commentary booth or whatever, the race was so weird. It was like the self-inflicted wound race. And what I mean by that is that a lot of the time these Indy 500 accidents will be like they're going for each other, they're jostling, and then they'll just clip and it'll be
Okay.
like a gnarly accident.
Okay.
This one was like Marco Andretti crashed on lap 1 because someone bumped him,
Okay.
like the slightest bump, and then he wrecked lap 1. And then literally every crash from that point on was someone just like doing something stupid.
Oh.
And it was like, what was that?
Oh no.
And like Scott McLaughlin crashed before the race even started, and it was because he was trying to warm up the tires, lost control of the car, and wrecked.
I saw that one.
And it was like he was shattered. I felt
Yeah.
bad for him. I think he was just like hyped, getting ready for the race, and like forgot how cold it was
oh no.
and
Yeah.
just lost it.
Oh geez.
But anyways,
So a lot of dumb moments.
and Penske before the race, he owns the sport. There was controversy for the team cheating. They got caught with modifying parts that are spec, and you're not allowed to modify them.
Oh.
It was a mess. So, but Robert Schwartzman, the Ferrari reserve driver, Ferrari Academy racer, got pole.
Okay, we talked about him last week.
Yeah, he's a rookie in IndyCar. He crashed into his pit crew. It was so scary.
That sounds awful.
And like Indy's pit road is narrow.
I mean, I'm fine with drivers crashing their cars, because they're protected by their car.
Right.
Your pit crew doesn't have a
Running into people
cockpit to
is
save
rough.
them. Yeah, that's scary.
And luckily, like someone had like a little bit of a hurt foot, but he like walked onto like the gurney and they went to like make sure he was okay.
Wow, that's scary.
Got really lucky. But anyways, the race went on. It was okay. The finish was okay. Marcus Ericsson finished second again. And he's just like, how many times can I finish second?
Dang it.
Because he's won it, but he wants to win it again.
Of course.
And but anyways, it was fun to watch, but it was mediocre. Kyle Larson crashed. Now this is the reason that I kind of want to get into Kyle Larson stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
He pulled a gear on accident, I think, coming into the corner, downshifted all the way to third. The car skipped out sideways, and he took out himself and 2 other cars. Okay. So Kyle Larson doing the double meant that he was going to do the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 in the same day, which is the total of 1,100 miles. So IndyCar, then traveled to NASCAR. Same thing he tried last year. But he wrecked in the Indy 500 early because he pulled a gear and lost control. But then he goes to the Coca-Cola 600, and everybody's like, well, at least he'll start on time and he can run a good race. He started second. No, on his own, in the lead, hit a bump in the turn 4 of Charlotte, snapped the freaking rod that holds the wheel in place, and then had to go into the pits and fix that or whatever, and then eventually got taken out of the race. Kyle Larson didn't even, I don't even think he completed 500 laps or 500 miles total between the two races.
Oh, geez.
And so here's the
That's
reason.
rough. It's rough.
Here's the reason why I'm going to talk some trash really fast.
Yeah.
Larson has been saying that like last year there was the whole thing like where he's a better race car driver than Max Verstappen.
Okay, this is that guy.
Same guy.
Okay.
And then this year he said, I never said that I was a better race car driver than Max Verstappen,
Okay.
but I think I'm a better all around race car driver because I've raced in so many disciplines, is what he was saying.
Okay.
Kyle Larson, you did not go to the Nürburgring.
It's just stuck on.
And yeah, why is it stuck on you? Okay, Kyle Larson, you didn't go to the Nürburgring and set the fastest lap ever by a freaking GT car. And in completing in the 1,100 mile, you crashed twice. And you also sped on pit road last year. So maybe it's time to chill the ego a little. Find your center and come out and kick some butt and then start talking some trash
It's
again.
true. We learned from Max in the past month that, he can set the fastest lap time
In
a
his
GT
first
car.
attempt
First attempt.
at Nürburgring
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. Shut it down. Just locked it up, shut it down, and moved on to winning more races.
Fernando Alonso almost won his first Indianapolis 500, blew an engine, retired from the race.
Dang.
He didn't pull a gear and crash. He blew an engine. And it was also the tale of his McLaren days. So it was very reminiscent. But all I'm saying is that with all the big talk,
Yeah.
There's been some disappointing
bad
showings.
performance.
Yeah.
You're not backing it up.
yeah, so
Too bad.
it's time to start delivering.
Speaking of this the race weekend with all the races,
Yes.
I sent pictures to you of the NBA game, Pacers versus the Knicks.
Did you ever figure out who that
I don't
was?
know who it is, but there was a guy sitting courtside in very
a
official
fire
looking fire suit with a helmet.
Yeah.
And I still, if anyone else out there knows who that is,
Yeah. Comment in the chat.
comment in the chat. Yeah, it was crazy. I thought it was some sort of like vertical integration synergy to get F1 movie marketing, like guerrilla
Right.
F1 marketing.
Right. Which would have been a great idea.
It would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
And I messaged you and like, it is the Indy 500. That is, they're playing in Indiana. And I said,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what driver just like parked his car and walked over to the Pacers game and just
Honestly,
sat
his
courtside?
sponsors were probably so hyped.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, this is the best thing we could have done.
Because he looked.
This is better than his
Everyone
delivering
else
the
is
race
wearing
today.
like Pacers fan gear,
Yeah.
and it's just him in his race suit. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
that's
like he's
hilarious.
not pouring milk all over himself with the wreath. He's courtside. It's
So
brilliant.
funny.
Yeah.
Should we get into some listener questions?
Yes.
Okay. I'll check off my NBA game commentary. Boom.
Should we start with the one that I got?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we had a listener write in.
Nice.
He is going to Spa.
Spa.
It's Belgium
Okay.
for his first ever F1 race.
Okay.
And this is my good friend Davey. He's written us before.
Okay. Nice.
And
it's wow, what a race to go to for your first time.
yeah, it's great. And he's over in Europe. He works for Porsche.
Oh, that's even cooler.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so his question was kind of like very generic and like, what should I expect? What's the things that I should look for what's the best spot to sit, things to do at a race weekend.
Shoot.
And I was like, what's so freaking lame about this? I'm the wrong person to ask. The best person to ask is
Finally,
this guy
the
right
expert is
here.
here. It looks like the turntables have become the master.
Yes.
I have been to 3 races. I don't know where he's sitting in Spa. If he has just a general admission ticket, I don't know. But if I was to pick a spot, I don't know where people sit in Spa, but that has that like swooping S
Eroge, yeah.
where you can just see the speed.
Right.
I would just try to get anywhere along that straight
Yeah.
to see the speed of the cars.
It's one of the best overtaking spots too. So Eroge and Radion.
Oh gosh, if that's where you can be,
that would be my spot.
that's where you should be.
Right.
The best moments I've had in Formula One is seeing cars at their full speed, and that happened in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And just being on the street and seeing them like fly by, because I've been to the Texas Grand Prix into the stands, and you can see them going fast, but you are like 100 yards, 50 yards away because the stands are so big and the track is so big.
Right.
So they do look a little slower, but being that close, the speed is insane.
Right.
Yeah, it really converts you to the sport, which is fun.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know what else is at Spa. I would just get good food. I would go early and try and do all the fun things before the race, because I'm sure there's going to be lots of tents set up, lots of merch tents, lots of like fan experience tents.
Right.
Anything to like take a picture. They're probably gonna have like one of those like things you can like change a tire real quick.
Yeah. I've wanted to do those.
I want to do that so bad.
Yeah.
You should find out. So this is what we did when we were in Texas for the Austin Grand Prix. It's probably so hard in Austria.
Yeah.
That's where it is, right?
In Belgium.
Belgium. But we did a lot of internet research to figure out where the teams were staying. And then in the mornings, when they're going to be leaving the hotels, we were there early to like be at the hotel to
stock
see him.
Toto.
Yeah, and we bumped into Toto.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. You sent me a photo. You're like, just Toto.
We were walking into the hotel trying to be like, we stay here.
Yeah, this is our hotel.
We're rich enough to stay here.
We fit in.
And as we were doing that, Toto walked out, and it got really scary because I'm like, oh, that's him.
You're like, there's the villain.
We're not supposed to be here. And then we walked out down the road, and Toto pulled up right beside me at the light and stopped as we were at the same intersection. So I'm like, from you to me to Toto.
Yeah.
I'm just like dancing. And he was like,
He's like
yes.
giving you
yes.
that eye thing that he does.
He really did. He was like, and he like laughed.
He's like, people over in this country are
So I would check hotels to see if you wanted to like fan stock people.
you want to stock.
We also went to a steakhouse that Valtteri Bottas loves to eat at. So see what places the drivers like to eat at and get a
not a bad
reservation
idea.
there.
Yeah.
Because then you're not stalking them. You're just like, oh, I'm eating the same restaurant as the drivers tonight, and like try and do that, which is fun.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm curious too, because like in NASCAR, they have the haulers, which is just the most American. Sounds like you're going to get a smoked rib.
Yeah.
But the haulers they have their trucks that are designated just for merch.
Uh-huh.
And so like the teams, especially the big teams, have these big semi trucks with the side flap open. And that's where you'll buy a Jeff Gordon jacket.
Yeah.
Whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
So in my day, that's how I'm how old I am.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I bet
These
they
days
still
it'd be a
honestly,
Kyle
I bet they
Larson.
still have them.
Yeah, they still sell the Jeff Gordon jackets, I'm sure. But if you, at the
Yeah.
F1 races, they probably are more tense and less.
Well,
of like
the thing about F1 merch is everything at the race you can buy online.
right.
And so it's kind of useless to buy a Mercedes shirt or like a Haas hat.
Right.
Because you can buy the same thing on the F1 store online.
Right.
What you need to do is find the race specific gear. Like go to the merch
Right.
booth that's for Spa and get like a track shirt from Spa. Otherwise, you're just going to get everything else everyone has.
Right.
That's my
Like the
thoughts.
Rolex 24 gear.
We got those
that we
Rolex
got.
24 gear.
Yeah.
Like,
you could buy a Porsche Motorsports shirt online,
yeah.
but like Penske Porsche, but you couldn't buy a Rolex 24
Yeah.
shirt anywhere.
I got like a shirt from Monza. That was like the Monza track, or like like we got Australian Grand Prix gear and a hoodie from the Australian Grand Prix. Like, make sure you're getting those stuff. Otherwise, it's just like
It's like
no one knows you got it.
same crap that
Why would you get something you can't brag about?
Yeah. You made all this effort to go to Spa.
Yeah.
Might as well get something that's worth bragging.
Another thing you can do is find where the drivers exit or enter the track and get there early so you can see them driving in or biking in, and that's fun. Because then, like, I think when we were at Monza, we saw Charles Leclerc pull up in his like crazy nice Ferrari,
Right.
and enter the paddock, and that's like fun to just be
That
there
would be
waving.
cool to see, just because of like. Also, it's part of what they're doing on purpose,
Yeah,
right? Like
Yeah.
that's part of the showboating.
exactly.
Like so, you know, you want to be there just to be able to see like,
But if he works for Porsche,
yeah,
maybe he has some good tickets.
it seems like you can get them.
Yeah.
Come on, Davey.
So everything I'm telling you,
Get a better ticket.
Everything that I'm like giving the little advice for is like the poor man's F1 experience.
yeah.
If
It's
you
not
have,
the paddock
if
pass.
you have more strings to pull,
Yeah.
my advice is pull all those strings.
Do you have any friends at Audi yet?
Because get in and yeah, but that sounds really fun. That's a race that
I'm
would
jealous
be
because this is
so
my
fun to
favorite
go to.
track.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna be beautiful and
Right.
that'll be fun.
unbelievable experience.
Yeah.
Take good photos.
Don't take earplugs. That's my suggestion
Yeah.
because they're not as loud as other motorsport.
Daytona, we needed earplugs.
Yeah,
It
but the
was
F1
really
cars you
loud.
don't, and you'd rather hear them anyway. So just don't
Yeah.
take earplugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use AirPods anyways. Even if
and
you
last,
are gonna.
last bit of advice: dress all in Haas merch.
Yeah.
Support your team.
Yeah. Live, laugh, Haas, as we say.
Yes. Yeah. We're gonna make a shirt. Live, laugh, Haas. That'll be the shirt that Haas rips off from us.
That'll be the first one that they actually take us up
the
on.
dumbest shirt.
The worst idea I've ever had.
Okay, second listener question comes in from a friend of a friend from the show. So it is in horse racing, they almost like treat the horses better than the jockeys.
Okay. Yes.
In Formula One, why don't we root for the cars more than the drivers?
Well, it is the only sport
Yeah.
that has a. Well, I backtrack that on, but like they emphasize the constructor in Formula One more than they do in other motorsport.
Okay. That's good to start with.
At least in like NASCAR, IndyCar sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, endurance is different.
I would also say that there are fans that really don't put the drivers as first. They are rooting more for like
Oh, like the
maker,
Tifosi.
The Tifosi.
Yeah.
It's like you are rooting for that car.
Yeah, the Ferrari fans.
And you're hoping the driver that gets in it will be able to handle it. And
Branded.
that it will be the fastest car. So like, yeah, you'll have Mercedes fans, McLaren fans, Ferrari fans, and they're rooting for that car.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of my friends that were Mercedes friends, quote unquote, left with Lewis. So there's no such thing as a Mercedes fan, in my opinion. But there are most certainly
Yeah.
Ferrari fans.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
For sure.
And Haas fans.
And Haas fans. Did we run when Ocon joined the team? No.
Yeah.
We were weary and we're coming around to it. Ocon got points in Monaco. It's sick.
When I think of racehorses, I think of John Candy in Cool Runnings.
Okay, yeah.
But he's like, go tumbleweed, go tumbleweed, no tumbleweed. It's my favorite. I freaking love it that he smashes the radio with the pool cue because his racehorse loses. Anyways, so good. What a movie.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, last question.
Tumbleweed is such a good horse name. Sorry, continue.
That's good. Last question. This comes in from a listener.
Okay.
And she's asking, has there ever been a crash in the tunnel at Monaco?
Oh,
And so this is kind of putting you on the spot because I was like, I'm sure there has. I'm going to see if Mike can pull it off the top of his head.
I believe there has been, and I don't. The good news is that I don't think that it's ever been like crazy severe,
Yeah.
but because I am shooting from the hip on this
Yes,
one.
this is
so
very trivia question.
I'm
testing
like,
Mike's
I
knowledge.
remember something to that effect. Most of like the tunnel crashes and things that I'm picturing have been sort of like F1 cars, like riding the wall because they've
Yeah.
lost it, out of shape and just kind of ridden the wall through it. But an event that I can recall was Isaac Hadjar in F2 last year. If you remember,
Okay.
there was the car that stalled and lost power in the tunnel. He was on a flying lap. No one warned him, and he came through the tunnel and missed him by centimeters.
I
at
remember that.
full speed.
Yeah.
And he came over the radio, was like, "Whoa!" Like that was close.
Yeah.
And it was like whatever, like George Russell's like red flag. Like I feel like Isaac Hadjar's in that moment was so much more merited because that was like he reacted, he barely freaking missed him, and that could have been so bad.
Yes.
Anyways, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's one that I can recall off the top of my head. But I'm sure, especially in rain races where you go from like wet to dry,
Yeah.
seems like there's got to be had to have been some things in there,
Yeah.
but nothing crazy.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, good answer. Putting you on the spot there. Okay. What time are we at?
So freaking long.
Okay. Well, we better wrap this up.
Yes,
This week we have the Spanish Grand Prix,
we do.
and that'll be fun to watch.
It'll be great.
We'll see if teams start to change with different upgrades and different changes.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
I believe this is the week. So
This is the week that Ferrari and Lewis fans are hoping the tide will shift for them. Right?
I'm Googling it so I can be absolutely sure.
While Mike's Googling that, just wanted to talk to all the Lewis fans out there that there still is hope and that Lewis will always rise and that he is blessed and that he is on his way to the podium right now. So don't give up hope. He will become a champion. And if that doesn't happen, it is everyone else's fault. So Lewis Hamilton fans, just know that.
It says,
Thank you. Hurry up, Mike. 'Cause
yeah,
I can't
sorry.
keep doing this.
This is the worst part of this. This is why I'm like,
Yeah.
it says the stricter wing test will be implemented from the Spanish Grand Prix. What does from?
Yeah, that could be. It could be either way.
It could be either way.
Gosh,
We are the
That's annoying.
worst.
it's annoying. Anyway, I'm excited. I feel like Haas has had like a little dip in performance lately. I'm excited to see them back on like a circuit. Spanish Grand Prix will be fun. Hopefully Haas will have a good qualifying, and we'll see Ollie Behrman back in the points.
Yeah, we better.
Yeah, well, it'll be great. It'll be great.
So, like, subscribe, tell
Follow
your friends.
along, tell your friends, share all of our videos with all of your friends, and once they start following us, have them share all the videos with all their friends. And then once you do that, you'll be able to become friend level diamond, and then you'll it's just multi-level marketing podcasting. Once you reach diamond level status with the fast ones, you will get exclusive content, but only if you get 5 people in your downline to also get